Live your dreams regardless of what anybody has to say. People will always have an opinion about what you're doing, what you should be doing, what you have done. It's whatever. We all have what they say, the ebb and flow of life. But ultimately, it comes down to, what are you going to believe about yourself? What is possible for you, even at your big old age? You know, is it all over? Is there anything left? Because until you honestly answer that for yourself, you know, you might find yourself disappointed if you're waiting on other people to confirm you. If you're waiting on other people to acknowledge you and say, you know what, wow, that was a great job. Yeah, keep up the good work. You might be waiting a long time. And it's not that people are necessarily inherently evil or nasty about it. It's just that some people have never really pursued anything in their own lives. You know, they've worked their jobs and, you know, pretty much content. You know, they've given up. So you definitely can't talk to nobody like that. You know, I talk about it all the time on my channel. So for those who actually watch my full videos, the earlier videos, I talked about my experience trying to get in the music industry. At that point, I didn't understand that it's not about talent. The first time I went to LA was a clear indication that that wasn't the case. Yes, you have some people who can carry a tune, who can sing. You know, I put myself in the category of people who can carry a tune. But when I got to talking to different managers, etc., they're going to create an image for you. They're going to create something that will be able to hopefully sell, something that will be considered marketable, something that ultimately fits a niche, and most importantly, a need for the agenda that they have at hand. A lot of people just think it's just music. Just like right now, everybody's going back and forth with the Young Miami song. Some people see it as, oh, it's just a song. But as she so eloquently put it, music is vibration. There's a vibration to everything. And if you don't understand that, then you definitely won't understand how detrimental these types of songs are, especially to people of color, shall we say. Every generation has their breakout quote-unquote stars. And I'm not going to front and say that I don't enjoy certain music. But when you just blatantly put it in my face like this, and also considering the climate and the timing of this, like, we've been doing this type of trash music for the last 30 years. At some point, when are we going to change the conversation? We've been talking about the sex, drugs, stealing your girl, sleeping with your man. I mean, these topics is tired. Is anyone else tired? You know what I'm saying? Are we tired of the same old? It's really an insult to the intelligence, in my opinion, to think that that's all black folk want to hear is the same old garbage regurgitated. You know what I'm saying? Through a different artist who really sounds the same. You know what I mean? There's like far and few artists out there that are really saying something different. And even those who are quote unquote somewhat semi-conscious still have to make those types of degrading songs to be commercial. So we still get hit with it. It's just like the conversation needs to change, but really nothing's going to change unless we demand change. You know, we have to revolt against these companies and organizations that continuously exploit our artists to push agendas that's keeping these prison systems filled and packed. Okay? That's all it comes down to. Now, a lot of people say it's up to the parents. Now, you know good and god dang on well, your kids, they might listen, okay, to a degree. But at the same time, they will be more so influenced by their peers. Okay, so I'm not negating our role in raising these kids, but when you was a kid, you know you didn't do every doggone thing your parents said. Okay, I remember getting my first tape, which was DJ Quick, the song called Tonight. All right, now, in my opinion, I thought it was a great song. You know what I'm saying? It was talking about getting effed up, and we're going to do the same old thing tonight. But really what caught me was the beat. And that's what people got to keep in mind, right? I didn't fully understand. I was like 10 years old, something like that. So I didn't know nothing about going out, getting drunk, and throwing up, and then turn around and do the same old thing tonight, okay? So I didn't know nothing about that, but what did catch me was the beat. I like the beat, I like the hook. So that's the same thing for young people today. The little girls you see on TikTok and YouTube singing that song, where all my scamming and you know what I'm saying? They don't know what they're talking about, but they singing it. Nonetheless, it's still being built into your psyche. It's still emitting a frequency. Okay? So in other words, trash in, trash out. And we have to start calling it what it is. And for people receiving any message from a woman who was allegedly caught up in trafficking, different things for a certain somebody who's still sitting in jail right now, and also allowed herself to be, I would say, in a compromised position willingly, because it's not really that much of a compromise because she was with it. Okay, this is not the type of person that I want to hear anything from. And I don't think anyone with good sense wants to take advice from this type of person. Not to mention the fact that she don't have to scam, even though she might be, or she may have. Apparently, her mother has had some mix-up with the law regarding this very same issue with boosting. But that's not the type of person I want to hear anything from, much less a song. Now, the powers that be, they do what they do. They push it out there. They know the impact it has. Nothing is done by happenstance. It's not a coincidence that we have the Sexy Reds of the world. We have the rappers that's doing the same thing, the male rappers, whatever. It's all foolishness. Okay? But they don't push nothing positive. And y'all don't support nothing positive. Right? So you got conscious artists like myself and many, many others who remain underground. And the reason is, it's not mainstream, it's not commercial. Well, how do you know? If you spend $1 million on a campaign pushing something positive, who's to say that people might not like those records? Back in the day, you had groups like Sound of Blackness. That was pretty positive. They did push that for a while. As far as rap, you had Poor Conscious Teachers. You had X-Clan. You had Public Enemy. So there was variety at the very least. At least let us get some variety. Okay, you can, I know they're never going to fully turn away from the foolishness, but good God, can we get a little bit of variety to show another side of black people? We are not a monolith. We are not all the same. We are really not. You got those who think like the old N-word, right? But then you have those of us who can look at a situation and say, but you know what? I don't give a dang on what color you are. This is some foolishness. Okay, and then we get marginalized when you're able to think for yourself and think beyond color. People try to put you in a category. Now you a sellout because you've not been oppressed by the man. Okay? I met a chick a while ago, and we was just sitting there talking, chopping it up, and she was like, "You ain't never been locked up?" I was like, "Locked up? No." She must have asked me that an additional 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, what is so hard to believe the fact that I have never been locked up? I'm not a criminal. I don't do criminal activity. I don't do things to put me in a position where my freedom is taken away, where I can't get up and go get the hamburger if I so choose. You know, I can't be free. I can't go and enjoy myself in any which way I want to. Why would I subject myself to that? You know what I'm saying? When all I have to do is handle my business, do what I'm supposed to do as a grown man. I don't have problems. Even if I got pulled over, which I have gotten pulled over plenty of times in the past, for different things, I just accepted it because, you know what, they were right. And one time, I'll tell y'all this story real quick. I don't know, I got a couple stories, but this one I'll tell you. I got pulled over coming back from Atlantic City, me and my boys, so DWB rather, driving while black. You know how I go sometime. Now this is back in the day, so there was no cameras, nothing like that. Now being very mindful of my speed limit. I had a Mazda Millennia, if y'all remember that car. But I love that car. Anyway, so that car goes 160. And at the top, if you look at your speedometer at the top, it's 80. You know what I'm saying? Simple. So, get pulled over, and the officer's like, yeah, you were speeding. Now, I know he was lying. So, instead of me showing my ass, being extra and over the top, I said, okay, well, you know what? I wasn't speeding. This is what I want you to do. Bring me back the printout. Because at least at that time, I imagine they still do New Jersey. I don't know. I haven't been pulled over in a long time. But at that time, I said, well, just bring me back the printout. That's cool. No worries. He goes back maybe 25 minutes later, because they take forever. Comes back and gives me a warning. Okay? Now, had I gotten out of control and went crazy and started acting a fool, you know what I'm saying, that would have brought issues upon myself. And it would have exposed the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we did have a little something to drink earlier that day. Okay? So that probably wasn't the wisest thing in the world that I've done, but nonetheless, is that still keeping your composure, right? Because if you know you are in the right, you don't have to be fighting with people. You don't have to do all that. Because it don't take all that. There's been times when I ran through a red light. Officer let me go. He said, slow down. I told him I was trying to get home. Whatever the case was, let me go. He probably didn't want to do no paperwork. So this is kind of going a whole other area of accountability, okay, in this conversation that I'm having, right? Because I see all too often when I watch police activity and all those types of videos, and I see people like really without self-control at all. Like the emotional intelligence has just plummeted in a lot of people. And I think the cameras kind of backfired on folks, because before people would be like, oh, it's the police all the time doing this, that, and the fourth. When you look at these videos, these people be bringing this garbage upon themselves. You really be doing the most for a traffic infraction. You know what I'm saying? But 9 times out of 10, you riding dirty. You got a warrant. It's always on the individual. I mean, I don't know if they perform it for the cameras, but most of the times, not all the times, but the most, and I've watched thousands of these videos, it's the people taking it to the next level for no reason. You know what I'm saying? For no reason whatsoever. Instead of owning it, like when I got pulled over for registration one time, he was right. You know what I'm saying? He was right. The registration had expired. But in my mind, I'm okay, it's a ticket. Cool, I'll go get the registration, take care. There's no reason for me to get out of character. I don't need to come out of character. As they say, never let them see you sweat. Okay? What's the big deal? You handle your responsibilities. If you mess up with something, okay, own it. And you move on. Life goes on. Alright? It's never that serious, y'all. Until next time, peace and blessings.